In the annals of history, few creatures have wielded power as absolutely as a dictator. Like a lion ruling its pride, these figures command obedience with an iron fist. Their every whim becomes law, their every word etched in stone. Dictators throughout time have held sway over vast populations, their influence reaching into every corner of their domains. From the heart of empires to the smallest villages, the will of the dictator reigns supreme. Their power, often attained through cunning and ruthlessness, transforms the very fabric of society. Fear becomes a constant companion, and the whisper of dissent can lead to swift and brutal consequences. The dictator stands alone, a solitary figure at the apex of the power structure. Surrounded by loyal followers, they orchestrate the machinery of state to serve their own ambitions. The line between leader and tyrant blurs, as absolute power corrupts absolutely. Dictators employ a chillingly effective toolkit to seize and maintain control. Force is their ever-present weapon, a blunt instrument wielded without hesitation. Armies answer to their command, ready to crush any hint of rebellion with overwhelming might. Secret police operate in the shadows, their eyes and ears everywhere, silencing opposition before it can even find a voice. Propaganda becomes the lifeblood of the regime, a constant stream of misinformation and carefully crafted narratives designed to shape public perception. State-controlled media broadcasts the dictator's message, extolling their virtues and demonizing their enemies. Education systems are warped to indoctrinate the youth, molding future generations in the image of the regime. Through these means, dictators establish an atmosphere of fear and paranoia. Citizens are conditioned to self-censor, afraid to speak out against the regime even in the privacy of their own homes. The very act of thinking independently becomes an act of defiance, a dangerous game with potentially fatal consequences. The consequences of unchecked power are devastating. Individual liberties vanish under the dictator's iron rule. Freedom of speech becomes a distant memory. The press transforms into a mouthpiece for the regime. The rule of law crumbles under the dictator's will. Courts become kangaroo courts, punishing opponents. Political rivals vanish overnight, imprisoned without trial. History is littered with chilling examples of dictators who rose to power through a toxic cocktail of charisma, manipulation, and ruthlessness. Adolf Hitler, a master propagandist, exploited Germany's post-World War I humiliation to fuel his rise. His promises of national rejuvenation and Aryan supremacy resonated with a disillusioned populace, paving the way for his ascent to absolute power. Joseph Stalin, the man of steel, ruthlessly consolidated his grip on the Soviet Union through a reign of terror. He eliminated his rivals through purges and show trials, instilling fear in the hearts of the populace. Millions perished under his oppressive regime, victims of forced labor, famine, and state-sanctioned murder. These dictators, driven by a lust for power and a warped sense of reality, inflicted unimaginable suffering upon the world. Their names serve as stark reminders of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the fragility of human freedom. Section 5. Tools of Oppression. Dictators employ a variety of insidious tools to maintain their grip on power. Censorship is paramount as they seek to control the flow of information and stifle dissenting voices. Books are banned, newspapers shuttered, and the internet tightly controlled, all to prevent the spread of ideas that could challenge their rule. Propaganda, as mentioned earlier, is another powerful weapon in their arsenal. State-controlled media bombards the population with carefully curated narratives designed to glorify the dictator and demonize their enemies, both real and imagined. This relentless propaganda campaign seeks to mold public opinion, creating an atmosphere of unquestioning obedience. Surveillance is another hallmark of dictatorial regimes. Secret police, informants, and sophisticated surveillance technologies are deployed to monitor the activities of citizens and root out any hint of dissent. The ever-present threat of being watched chills free expression and creates a climate of fear and paranoia. Section 6. Silencing dissent. Dictators cannot tolerate dissent. Any challenge to their authority, no matter how small, is perceived as a threat to their very existence. As a result, opposition is met with swift and brutal repression. Peaceful protests are dispersed with violence, political opponents are imprisoned or disappeared, and critics of the regime are silenced through intimidation, violence, or worse. Fear becomes the primary instrument of control. Citizens are conditioned to believe that any act of defiance, no matter how insignificant, will be met with harsh consequences. This pervasive fear paralyzes the populace, making it difficult to organize any meaningful resistance. The absence of free and fair elections ensures that dictators remain in power indefinitely. Opposition parties are banned or subjected to such severe restrictions that they are unable to mount a credible challenge. Elections, when they are held, are often rigged to produce a preordained outcome, lending a veneer of legitimacy to the dictator's rule. Section 7. The Cult of Personality. Many dictators cultivate a cult of personality around themselves. They are portrayed as larger-than-life figures, infallible saviors who embody the hopes and aspirations of the nation. Their images adorn public spaces, their names are invoked in speeches and songs, and their birthdays are celebrated with elaborate displays of adulation. This carefully constructed persona serves to elevate the dictator above criticism and scrutiny. They become objects of veneration, their every word treated as gospel. This cult of personality creates a powerful psychological bond between the leader and the led, making it difficult for people to see the dictator for what they truly are, a tyrant. The cult of personality is often reinforced through the use of propaganda, censorship, and the suppression of alternative narratives. By controlling the information environment, dictators can ensure that their carefully crafted image remains unchallenged. Section 8. Scars on History. The legacy of dictatorships is etched in the collective memory of humanity. The scars of their reign remain long after they are gone, a sobering reminder of the fragility of freedom. The Holocaust, the Cambodian killing fields, the Great Purge, these atrocities stand as chilling testaments to unchecked power. Yet even in the darkest of times, the human spirit endures. From the ashes of tyranny, hope eventually emerges. The survivors bear witness to the indomitable spirit of those who dared to resist. Their stories serve as a beacon of hope. It is our duty to remember the victims and learn from the past.